I didn't raise my voice when the HOA president slammed the photographs down on the folding table, jabbing her finger at the images of the cut fence. She called it trespass repair, like it was some noble duty she had performed. I didn't argue. I just slid my own document across the table. A certified surveyor's report with the county seal, signed, stamped, and dated. And right on top of it, a court-issued injunction. The HOA's attorney, who had been smirking a little too confidently, stopped dead. His pen hung in mid. He flipped through the pages once, twice, then sank back in his chair, like air leaving a balloon. I didn't have to say a word. Everyone in the room understood exactly what I had done, and more importantly, what I had caught them doing. Before any of this nonsense began, life out there was quiet in the best way. I had bought the property partly out of nostalgia, partly out of stubbornness. My grandfather had always dreamed of retiring on a piece of land where he could watch the sun break over the pines without hearing a neighbor's lawnmower. He never got to. But when I came across a neglected parcel tucked against a state-protected forest, it felt like a chance to finish what he started. The cabin wasn't much a drafty thing, with uneven floors and a wood stove that smoked if you didn't baby it. But it was mine. The property was bounded by an old fence line, not much more than weathered cedar posts and rusty wire, but I liked it that way. Deer wandered through. The creek at the back never stopped talking, and the evenings were honest silence. I wasn't chasing prestige or resale value. I just wanted to work on my land, clear brush at my own pace, and maybe finally find the kind of stillness my grandfather had been chasing. That peace didn't last long. The first warning sign showed up, literally nailed to my fence post, printed on cheap paper with the HOA unauthorized barrier in violation of community standards. I stared at it for a good minute, wondering if it had blown there by accident. I wasn't in their subdivision. Their manicured cul-de-sacs stopped a full half-mile down the road, but apparently my land had made it onto their map. A week later, I got a letter in the mail. They were fining me for non-compliant fencing. According to them, my century-old boundary fence posed a visual hazard to community cohesion. I thought it was a prank at first. Then, I saw they wanted $200, and that was just the opening act. I tried to be polite about it, at least in the beginning. I wrote back explaining that their HOA did not and had never held jurisdiction over my parcel. I enclosed a copy of my deed, highlighted the meets and bounds description, even circled the line where the county recorder noted the subdivision limit. I sent emails, tried to arrange a sit. The responses I got back were laughable if they hadn't been so threatening. They claimed annexation rights, whatever that was supposed to mean, and warned that failure to comply could result in corrective action. Within a month, they had doubled the fines, threatened a lien that they had no power to file, and the kicker showed up one morning with bolt cutters. They cut through the back fence at dawn, leaving a gaping hole like a wound in the land. Their explanation? They were restoring easement access. To what, exactly? A stand of cedar trees. That was the day my tone shifted. I stopped writing emails in good faith. I stopped thinking they were just confused. I pulled my chair up to the kitchen table and started stacking paper. I requested the full plat maps from the county surveyor's office. I tracked down the original subdivision filings, which clearly ended 2 parcels before mine. I found the surveyor who had restamped the boundary 10 years ago, still practicing, still willing to notarize his own work. Every photograph of that cut fence, every threatening letter they taped to my gate, every voicemail promising enforcement, I cataloged and my neighbors, the ones who used to wave when they jogged past, got quieter. A couple of them stopped returning calls altogether. That was fine. I wasn't looking for backup anymore. My nights were long, but they had purpose. The stack of paper grew heavier, and with every new document, I felt the balance tilt in my favor. By the time the board summoned me to one of their meetings, I was ready. They thought it was going to be another chance to bark orders, maybe scare me with talk of legal fees. They didn't expect me to walk in with a binder thick enough to drop like a brick. When they accused me of illegal fencing, I didn't argue. I opened the binder to the survey map with the county seal. When they talked about easement rights, I slid across the court injunction I had secured after filing for emergency relief from a judge who'd take kindly to trespassers cutting private fences. Watching their lawyer's face drain of color was almost cinematic. The president tried to bluster through it, but the sound of her voice got thinner with every page I turned. The county recognized boundary, the notarized affidavit from the surveyor, the injunction signed 2 weeks earlier, the photographs of their own board members standing with bolt cutters in hand. It was all there. The aftermath wasn't dramatic, but it was permanent. Within a month, 2 board members quietly resigned. The president stopped showing up to meetings, then moved out of the subdivision entirely. Their threats vanished into silence, replaced by a grudging acknowledgement that they had no jurisdiction and no claim. My fence was repaired at their expense, though the check was sent through their attorney rather than their own letterhead. The county prosecutor never pressed charges, but I knew the board members got a very sharp warning about criminal trespass. And just like that, the constant buzzing stopped. No more notices on my gate. No more letters in the mail. Just silence. These days, when I drive past the subdivision, I catch the shift in body language. Some wave, stiffly, like they want to pretend the fight never happened. Others look down at their phones or turn their backs. It doesn't matter. My fence stands. My land is quiet, and no one has tried to cross that line again. It cost me months of research and a mountain of paperwork, but the quiet I have now feels earned. If anything, it taught me that you don't fight a bully by yelling louder. You fight them by knowing the rules better than they do, and then watching what happens when the weight of the law falls on the very people who thought they could ignore it. Now when I step out onto the porch and see that line of cedar posts standing firm, I smile. Not because I won, exactly, but because it's mine again. And because every time the wind rattles that wire, I remember the look on their faces when they realized they had cut into the wrong man's fence.